Right, week in the life time again. So today is, or this is week commencing 1st of August 2022, so we're into August already. But before I get started with the usual routine and about this coming week, I just want to briefly mention last week, and then just because last week I did a full 5 days, obviously it's a non-vlog week, so I just thought I'd share not the full summary but the high level numbers. So I worked 5 days, like I say, ended up 4 nights in a van, so a full week away. The best earnings day was the Wednesday, 280. The worst was the Tuesday, 120, which was a real frustrating day. I had two £60 jobs and that was it. Overall for the week was 1,079, which is £215.80 a day. That's obviously pre-VAT. I did 1,133 miles, which works out at 95 pence a mile, or just over. All miles, that's loaded and unloaded, from leaving on a Monday morning to getting back on a Friday afternoon. So I hit my sort of minimum pence per mile target, all miles, which is 95 pence a mile now, because it obviously it's gone up because the cost of diesel's gone up crazily this year. Didn't have any additional charges, so my overall because I'm obviously said many times before, I'm a sole trader, so my profit, which is my earnings, which is my takings minus my costs, is £635 for the week, which works out £127 a day. So obviously that's, got to pay, that's not my take home, I have to pay income tax and national insurance on that, essentially. So yeah, £127 a day last week. The previous week was 130, and the week before that was 125. So the last 3 weeks, it seems to be I'm earning between 125 and £130 a day, sort of profit or actual earnings. Whereas 2 weeks previous to that, so the week commencing 20th of June, I earned £145 a day profit. And the week before that, week beginning 13th of June, £152 a day. So it did pick up a few weeks ago, and I think it has got a bit quieter. Well, not doing quite as well. Consistently now, 3 weeks on the run. And really this time of year now, we're into August and late July, obviously that was. I need to be hitting my target. So when I'm working like this, I'm thinking if I'm working 230 days a week, 230 days a year, which is equivalent of working 46 weeks over 52 weeks, which is kind of equivalent of if I work with somebody, I'd get 28 days holiday. I need to be averaging for each of them working days £150. Obviously the first 5 months of this year, I didn't earn anything like that, because it was just so quiet. But obviously the first 3 months are part of last tax year. I need to be at least hitting target now, like £150 plus now, I think. And get towards Christmas, definitely more than 150 to sort of make up for the quieter starts of the year that you normally get. So I'm just still not earning what I should do, or not what I should do, because it's what I aim to, really. There's no guarantees in this. It's not a case of I should earn that, it's a case of what I need to for it maybe worthwhile carrying on, sort of thing. So yes, I now I've mentioned before, I got my truck theory test. It's a week on Friday now, 12th of August. So I bought this book, I finally started reading it, started doing some work today when I had a bit of time this afternoon. So this is actually the theory test sort of book that from buying this. I realised that I'm reading it, so I realised there's 2 other books that maybe I could do with. Some people have commented, have done it recently. What books did you use? Was this okay, just going off this, and did you pass and stuff? Thinking maybe I should just get the other 2 anyway to keep on me when I'm driving, because it'll be good for reference and stuff. So that's that. Yeah, so today, so on with this week. I'm just going to do sort of brief highlights of each day today, and just mention anything of interest, really, rather than going through everything. So I started a bit earlier than I normally do today at 9:30. Not massively earlier, but normally like 10 after 10, isn't it, on a Monday. got a job by 10:15. It's picking up in Tamworth, 20 miles from the house, 147 miles down here to Barry. I think Barry Island, Gavin and Stacey. It's one of them jobs. I bid £158 for it, and it's 147 loaded. I'm surprised I got it. And when I got it, I was thinking, could turn out okay, but probably not the best job to get or even bid for. So when I picked it up, it took a while to get there because of road closures that Google Maps doesn't know about, even though according to the signs, it's the road closures on for a month, and it's obviously planned work. You get that sometimes. When I picked it up, one pallet, dropped down here to some chemical factory where they make silicone. And the interesting thing about this job was Barry prison I delivered to last year. I think it was last year. Yeah, probably last year. Probably the most complex thing I've ever had to go through to get on site. It didn't take long, but I had to hand him my phone because he weren't allowed to take any kind of ignition source on. So I also gave him a tablet, which I normally keep for watching TV and stuff. I wanted to look in the front of my van, but didn't search it, thankfully. Don't take more stuff than other people. Then I had to go in park. Then one of the contracts I was delivering to had to come and get me. And then he says to me, am I right to hop in the van to show you where we need to go? I've actually never had that. First time it's ever happened. He says, yeah, it was like the other side of the site, big, chemical complex. All these tanks and pipes going everywhere and stuff, and all these roads, like in a grid pattern. So I had to put just my bag, my normal bag I've got there, which is got all my tramping gear for the day in the back, and then he jumped in. Pretty sound guy. Took where he needs to be, flagged down a forklift guy who was handily just passing at the time. Got the pallet off, so it didn't take that long in the end. It was just a bit more involved, and then on the way back out, obviously go to the gatehouse and get my stuff back. So yeah, quite a quick tip, because yeah, I was probably in there like 20-25 minutes. I thought it could have been a lot longer when I first got there. So not too bad. That put me down here. I was tipped by about 2:30. Just kind of getting on. That job did drag on a bit. I was on it for like 5 hours from getting it to finishing it. It worked out 95p a mile, all miles. Bid on a few jobs to get out of here. Didn't get anything, so that was my one job for the day. So disappointing job. But like I say, I've filled the time. When you're in somewhere like this, South Wales, not many jobs ping up, so you can do other stuff while you're waiting. Obviously got a notification sound on my phone, which I've set like a notification noise that is just for the CX notifications, so I know if it's just like, I know if it's a CX job basically, or it's different to like my other emails and stuff like that. So I've just been reading this afternoon, so it hasn't been a total loss the afternoon. I'm sat in Morrison's car park now. Been for a walk around Barry. This is Barry. The other side of the docks is sort of what they call Barry Island, where Gavin and Stacey was set. And yeah, fun fair rides and all that kind of stuff. Went for a nice walk along the beach. Just got back. Yeah, pretty nice really. A lot of redevelopment going on here around the old docks. Or certainly the western side of the docks. There's loads of like new houses going up and stuff like that. Obviously redeveloping the area. This would have been, a massive port for coal 100 years ago, wouldn't it? Yeah, like 1920s, probably still big on coal until the mid 1900s, I suppose. So yeah, it's quite interesting, really. Quite a well-known place now because of Gavin Stacey. Another good one to come to and look around. I won't get a chance to do this or so much of this stuff when I'm tramping for someone in a HGV. So yeah, that's alright. Oh, I didn't mention fuel prices, did I? Got ahead of myself because I'm doing it slightly different. So my Shell card for UK fuels has been really good. Yes, last week it was the cheapest last week actually, just about, and then it's the cheapest this week by about 2.5p compared to my BWC WOC card, which is a Key Fuels Network one. So my UK fuels is 145.42 and the other one is 148.18. So I'm going to be using UK fuels or Shell card through UK fuels this week. With the VAT, that works out basically 174.5. I'm sat in Morrison's now. I'm looking over there at the diesel price. The Morrison's supermarket diesel, which is obviously arguably inferior to branded stuff like Shell, Esso, BP. I believe so. I'm a believer. Is 189.7. So that's quite. So my price here is 15 pence cheaper than the Morrison's price. So yeah, I don't know if that's just this particular Morrison's expensive. I can't imagine so because there's an Asda just down the road and that's got a petrol station as well. So anyway, yeah, it's a bit of a disappointing start to the week, but yeah, I might be having Friday off this week just because I've got work to do on my Suzuki, so it might be a 4-day week. So we'll see how it goes on that score. Right, just a quick one. It is Tuesday night, been quite a long, hard day today, so really slow start this morning in Barry. So I was sat in at Morrison's where I tramped, sat there until probably 11:15, didn't get anything. Drove to sort of West Cardiff, so a bit further east, to another Morrison's car park. So I was Morrison's car park hopping this morning. Obviously dead miles, it was only like 6 miles or something. I wasn't there long, and obviously getting on, and so I need a job, and a decent job ideally, paying job. A job picking up from Newport. It was 20 miles from it, but it was 3 drops in Cornwall, and I thought, let's get into that part of the day. I thought I'll just chance it, so I quoted it £1 a mile including getting there. Came out at 248, so I got £248 for 228 miles loaded, but it was 3 drops. It's one of his jobs. When it came through, well, something a bit odd happened. It was posted by 2 shippers. One of them rang me and then says, oh yeah, I'll send it through, but it's going to come from our sister company, which was the other company who had posted it on there. And then when it came through, it was picking up from one of their drivers who was at an RDC. So when I got there, he was still in there, but he came straight out. So I don't know if he just got tipped, or if he thought you'll just wait inside the RDC and we'll do the swap there. I don't know, but surely that's not the other. I rang him and said, can you come outside? And he did, and we just swapped it over. So 3 pallets, €2, which we managed to just handball, well, not handball, but lift out of his van into my van. He was a Polish driver on a Polish plate van, like a Luton, the one with curtains all round, including the back, but it had a tail lift. Nice van, like really new. They don't build them like in this country today. So it's quite interesting to go inside that. So 2 of the pallets we could manhandle across, but 1 couldn't, so it's just too heavy, so we had to break it down. And then I got it and I set off. It was a drop in Padstow, a drop in Truro, and a drop in St Ives. So obviously Cornwall now, summer holidays. I thought this could be an absolute nightmare because it's tourist time, and sure enough, it bloody was. Yeah. What got me on this job? The shipper rang me up and asked me how I was getting on with it. So I was loaded by about 12:30. He rang me at 3 o'clock. Says, how am I getting on with the drops? And I said to him, well, I'm still half an hour from the first one. And he seemed surprised at that. And he goes, oh, have you hit traffic or something? And I'm like, well, no, because I didn't get loaded till 12:30, and it's a 3-hour drive to the first drop. So I'm not going to get there till about 1:30. That's 1:30, 1:30. And then he kind of went, oh, right, yeah, I see, yeah, you're right. And he started to stress, and he did that we weren't going to get done. But not a lot I can do really, is I just crack on. First drop was a shop, was delivering to Javiana's, the posh flip-flops shop. There was also a Timberland shop in the same thing. Literally by the side of the harbour, and it's just throngs of people everywhere. It's not pedestrianised, but you know, like the streets are just absolutely packed. Tiny little narrow streets, obviously designed for horse and cart. And it's just full of people. It's had a bit of a nightmare. The Google Maps tried to take me right to the front door of it, but I couldn't make the last 50 yards of it because it was just too narrow and real tight turn. And I got myself in a bit of a sticky situation where I was kind of trying to reverse out of there, and then I was kind of like across the road and blocking it. But thankfully, some guy says, "Yeah, mate, I'll sort of guide you out." And then I reversed slightly back up the road to a loading bay that was free, thank God. Parked there, and then just had to walk it across. So a guy from the shop helped, so it was just 2 trips. It was only like 12 boxes, so we took 3 at a time each. So that was that. Got the hell out of there. Got down to Truro, but that was different. That was kind of like it was kind of like a hardware store that also does toys. The only thing with that was working out, like, get underneath that one at the back, kind of like a little shopping precinct thing. Just about got there in time. They shut at 5, got there at 4:30, got it off, and then shoot over to St Ives. St Ives is like the first one. It was just, you know, real narrow streets. The street it was on, it's like a cobbled road, really narrow, single lane. Probably would have struggled to get down there, so I parked on a street parallel, which was on the seafront. And there was, to be fair to the council, there's no cars or no vehicles basically except permitted vehicles. So I just had to assume delivery vehicles are allowed. Certainly in the first one, Padstow was until 6, so I went in there when this was active. But when I got to St Ives, it was after 4:30, it said, and I got there like 6. So anyway, went in, and there's quite a fair play to the council there. There's quite a lot of loading areas, because obviously these buildings and shops in these places, like they're massive touristy places now, and loads of shops for the tourists and stuff, and restaurants and bars and stuff. But originally they would have just been, most of them would have been just fishermen's cottages and stuff like that. So everything must come in on vans to these places, because you couldn't even get a 7.5 ton down them 2 places, I don't think. No, you couldn't. It was getting out of St Ives. There was a crazy, like, hairpin bend, and I had to go in someone's drive and reverse out and stuff. It was just one of them. But the loading bays, fair play to the council, loads of loading bays, including along the seafront, but they're all full of cars. So I drove past them, and I was looking for one where there was somebody in the car, and luckily, like, one of the lay-bys, there's a guy still in the car, and he's parked towards the front of it, of the this particular loading bay. So I thought, haha, I'm going to pull rank here. So I pulled up, went over to him and said, "Excuse me, mate, no, excuse me, sir, are you unloading?" He's obviously not. He goes, "No, I'm just kind of waiting for somebody." And I says, "Well, sorry, mate, I need to get in there. I got goods to deliver." And he was a nice old chap. He obviously realised he was in the wrong anyway, so he had to just dart off. But he shouldn't have been there anyway, like the other cars. Couldn't see any parking tickets on them. Didn't actually see a parking inspector. You think they'd be all over these places this time of year. So that was that. Parked there, and then it was the street parallel, so I had to get the sack truck out. 2 trips with the sack truck up a little pathway to the cobbled street that ran parallel, sort of up the hill. Got it delivered. That was Javiana's as well. Boxes of flip-flops. So got that tipped, and then just got the hell out of there. Drove to Tesco's about a mile out of town, which I passed on the way in. It was 2 hours free parking, so I just quickly got my trainers on, walked into town, had a look around town, had some chips. So I thought, I can't come all the way down here and not go, you know, and check out set hives and stuff. Obviously, for a bit of a walk on the breakwater and round the harbour and walk back. And then I moved now to Hale, so I need to find somewhere to tramp tonight in Hale. I think there's a public car park around the corner which should be free this time of night, because Hale isn't so touristy. It's just about 5 miles away, 6 miles from St Ives, but it's a bit more, you know, still sort of working class, you know, not a big touristy place, not quite so picturesque, but I think it's probably going to get that way in time. There's still quite a lot of development going on here by the looks of it. And then tomorrow, God knows, I didn't quite realise how far. I'm like 70 miles from Plymouth, and having looked at the jobs that came up in the last 24 hours in Cornwall, like a 40 mile or 50 mile radius from Padstow, I think only 2 came out down here. There's the ones that did come up were sort of Plymouth, Oakhampton, Bodmin way. So I think in the morning I'll just have to get up, get my breakfast or whatever, coffee, and then just start trundling down the road, down the A30 towards Bodmin, I think, and perch there. You never know. Fingers crossed, if something does come up, I'll be in a good position to get it. But if not, I've come to Cornwall, done a bit of sightseeing, it's been alright. Yeah, the way things are going earnings-wise is probably a bad decision, but I've done it now, I'm here. Just got to hope it works out tomorrow. So, how did I do getting out of Cornwall? Well, I'm in Heathrow area now, West London. But how did I get here? So yeah, I woke up quite early this morning, 7. Went for a quick walk around Hale Harbour, where they're doing nice building development and stuff, which actually featured on a BBC documentary about fishing. This Fishing Live Cornwall. There was one about Hale to recognise this development there that was in the programme. Anyway, I went for a walk there, went and got a coffee from McDonald's, and a sandwich or a wrap from M&S, gluten-free of course. So, and there was nothing by then. By then it was like 20 past 8. So I thought, yeah, stick with yesterday's plan and start heading towards Bodmin. So I drove to Bodmin, watching the feed. Obviously there's very few jobs come up, no jobs came up. I think by the time I got to Bodmin, parked up in Bodmin, and I just thought I'll sit here for a bit. Excuse me. It's 40 dead miles to Bodmin along the A30. Just reading up on more my theory test HGV book, so it wasn't total dead time. Nothing came up, or I think maybe one job came up and it wasn't suitable or something, or too far from it, like well over an hour from it. I'm just going to turn 1 minute. Yes, so I sat in Bodmin for a good while, and then I thought, right, still, nothing's doing here really. I'm just going to continue heading west. So I drove another 30 miles to somewhere just off the A30, just short of Oakhampton. And sat there for a while, did more reading of my book, and then it got to 20 to 2 and a job pinged up from Oakhampton, so I was only 5 miles from it, going to where I am now. I was going to Feltham. I've actually driven a bit from Feltham since I dropped it off, and it was a small van job, 181 miles. It's 5 miles from it. I quoted it 90 pence a mile, including getting or something, or maybe slightly more, which is £170 for a 181 mile job. And it was a strange one. It's not, you can't, it's one of the ones you can't e-quote. It just says that they've turned off that option, you have to ring them. So I thought 170 for a 180 mile job isn't, good flat length job in a small van. Should go for a fair bit less than that, but it's from this part of the world, and I'm in a long wheelbase van, so I'll just go with that, and they were absolutely fine with it, and they sent it through, and I cracked on, went and picked it up. It was one little box from an aircraft parts place back down in Devon. I think that's just into the Devon, just over the Cornwall border, so we're back into Devon. And then I drove, nice drive back down the A30 onto the M5 for a short distance, A303 past Stonehenge, M3 into West London, just off the M3 in sort of Feltham area. Tipped it, dropped it to some, like global shipping company, which I've not heard of before. Not one of the massive ones, but sizable place. So it was like 5-minute collection, 5-minute tip. Straightforward drive, no traffic. So I got tipped by about 170, but obviously had 70 dead miles this morning, and then not a particularly great rate all miles for me, because I'm trying to average 95 pence all miles over the week. So today's been a bit of a shocker in terms of that. But I've still done 170 quid, got myself back to civilization, even though around London is one of my least favourite busy areas in terms of getting jobs. It's hard to get jobs at good money around here, or reasonable money, even though there's a fair amount of work. There's just so many drivers. So that was it, yeah. Pretty knackered now. Don't know why, feel a bit grubby. So could have gone worse today. At least I've got out of there, got a job, I've earned something, but I've not hit my target and stuff. But yeah, that was it. So lesson learned: don't go to Cornwall. In the southwest's okay for me. Down to the bottom of the M5 in Exeter. Don't go any further, I've learnt, and I'll only go down there typically Monday to Wednesday, and then Thursday, Friday I'm want to get closer to home, so I'm not going to take the risk that sort of time of the week if I'm working a typical 5-day week, Monday to Friday. That's how I think I'll work it, but decent experience. Yeah. Right, Thursday evening now, about 9ish. I'm in South Wales again, not far from where I was the other day, as it happens. So I woke up this morning in my usual tramping spot, Stanwell, which is just south of Heathrow itself, by the church. Started looking for jobs about 8. Obviously there are a fair few jobs coming up that part of the world from quite early, so maybe I should have got up earlier. I certainly could have. And just down the road is a Tesco, so I went there quickly while I was bidding on jobs and got my meal deal for the day and stuff. So I got lunch and stuff. Actually got a job by 9, or at 9, which wasn't too bad really, because that part of the world sometimes I struggle, because even though there's a fair few jobs coming up, I'm not going for local jobs. I'm trying to get away from London when I go there. Sometimes that can be a struggle, but I bid on a job that was actually a short wheelbase van job going to Cowbridge in South Wales. So Cowbridge is 12 miles further west than Cardiff, between the M4 and the coast. So I'm not on the coast, south of the M4. Not a million miles from Barry, probably about 6 miles from Barry, slightly further north, to the northwest of it maybe. And it's a short wheelbase job, 157 miles. I was only 3 miles from it, so 160 miles all in. I went in at 155. I thought, from going up out of the world again, it's not great. Need decent money in a job kind of thing, even though it's short wheelbase. And he rang me and gave it me. Nice shipper on the phone, nice chap. One picked up from a small industrial estate unit who looked like they were a company who do promotions and stuff like that. And it was bottles of spirits, vodka, and some mixers. But that isn't, by the looks of it, their main business apparently. This was kind of leftover from some promotion, and it was going to another promotion or something in a shop down in Cowbridge, which I delivered it to, but they're not an alcohol or general shop. They're actually a fashion shop, a bit of a high-end small fashion shop. I don't know, something like that anyway. So, but it's alright, I didn't have to deliver to the front. little high street here. I delivered around the back and it was really easy. Quick load, quick tip, straightforward drive down here, down the M4, over the bridge. They've got it tipped about 12:30. Yeah, so I was only on this job. Yeah, about 3.5 hours. Cause it was a quick load, quick tip and straight drive of like 157 miles or whatever. Yeah, that's quite good money when you think about it. 3.5 hours on the job, 155 quid. That's pretty good going. But sadly, that was the only job I did. So got here pretty quiet this part of the world. I think even for down here, it's a bit quiet. It's quiet the other day, and it's quiet now. Today. Bid on jobs out the area, didn't get them. Obviously, I wanted another job today. I did bid on one local job, but yeah, I couldn't get it. Didn't get it. And then later on, like 4 o'clock onwards, I'm thinking, well, if I can get something booked in for early tomorrow, getting out of the area, I'll have to try and do that. So I went for them, but didn't get them. So I haven't got anything. So nothing for the morning. Still sat in Cowbridge. Gone for a nice walk around the place. I would say I've been here before. I tipped here before, but it was quite late when I got here before. Can't remember exactly where I tipped, but I remember I tramped in this same car park in Cowbridge, which is just sort of behind the high street. It's only a small place. So I'm going to be here again tonight. Really quiet spot. Public car park, but you know it's free between 6 p.m. and 8 p.m. So 8 a.m. So yeah, I'm just going to stay here. Obviously pretty disappointed. I wanted to get home tonight, and then plan to do some stuff on the car tomorrow, but I can't really just drive home empty from here because it's 130 miles, and the dead miles I did earlier yesterday, whatever, that's sort of, you know, the week's not going very well. So I'm just going to have to work tomorrow, try and get home and earn a bit of money, and then do that stuff another day. Yeah, Cowbridge is obviously a bit of an affluent place. You can tell generally by, especially smaller places, by what kind of, if there's a supermarket, what kind of supermarket it is, and there's a Waitrose here, and there's quite like a nice little high street, and there's lots of, you know, like slightly upmarket chains. Only a few of them of like, you know, fashion stores, and then there's a few like independents and stuff, and you just get the feeling it's a bit of a upmarket place. And there's quite a nice place which I went to, which I'll put on after this. It's just like a walled garden, like a public area. It's called the Cowbridge Physics Centre or something. What physics centre? I've never heard of before, but it's like a real nice little garden. So I went and sat in there a bit watching the feed, and it was sunny at that point, so yeah, it's quite nice to have a look around. But obviously disappointing day money wise. It's kind of like a disappointing week really. It's not going very well this week. I come on to it when I did a summary this at the end of the week. I think I was got quieter since June. But anyway, that was today, so fingers crossed for tomorrow. Just hope I get a job, get back to the Midlands without too many dead miles, and hopefully have an okay earnings day. So I don't think I've hit my like takings target for any day this week, which is 250. I fell just short on one day, I think. Yeah, so not great, is it? Yeah, so I didn't film an update on the Friday. Just to quickly go through what happened Friday. Didn't go very well, but like the rest of the week. Obviously tramped in Cowbridge, public car park, and in the morning I decided I'm going to drive sort of 6 or 7 miles, or maybe a bit longer, to like the west of Cardiff itself, so I was a bit closer to Cardiff and jobs in Newport and stuff. So I did that. So I was looking for jobs from like 7:30. I sat there all day. Feed was pretty quiet, and obviously on a Friday I can't take jobs going, or I wasn't going to take jobs going to the southeast. I kind of need to get home, so not particularly busy feed, me being more selective because it's a get home day under the week. I did eventually get a job. 1:15. So yeah, you do the maths, it's bloody long time, isn't it? It's like getting over 6 hours or whatever. And by that point I was just thinking, stuff this, I'm just going to drive home. And the job I did get, it was from Newport, so it's probably about 20ish miles from it, and it was going to Crewe. So I worked out it was 120 something miles from home where I was in Cardiff. If I got to Crewe, then I'm closer to home anyway. It was a medium wheelbase job, 143 miles loaded, and I thought, well, I can't just try and get my normal rate including, getting there. I just kind of need to go in a bit competitive. So I went at 140 quid, which is, a shade under £1 a mile for that length medium wheelbase job, is actually a decent rate. Loaded miles, and got it. So I drove up there, collected it. It was there's some newish, or quite new looking train factory in Newport on some of the old steelworks. Went in there, got loaded pretty quick, just like a wooden crate, and apparently there was one of the, like a windscreen for a train on there, but obviously the windscreen split into several bits on the front of the train, isn't it? So it wasn't that big, no weight to it at all, about 50 kilograms including the box. So that was that. But it meant I was passing home, heading north to Crewe at 5 o'clock. And I got to Crewe maybe 6 o'clock, tipped, and then drove home, got home about 7 at night. So yeah, in a way you could say, well, yeah, it's commuting time as well, but yes, didn't go well. So anyway, that was my kind of on the run. So numbers wise, shocking really, bit of a dire week. I think this is the worst week I've had on the CX, even in the quiet times. Partly because it was really quiet up until May and I really struggled, and if you watched through that period you'll know I was struggling. June it picked up, and I was getting towards making 150 quid on average profit, which my earnings each day, but not quite there through June. That's in tramping mode. But like July really, it's gone back down again. And then yes, last week I just really struggled because it's not particularly busy, and I just some weeks you get the rub of the green, some weeks you don't. And I think last week it just didn't go well. The first mistake I made was going to South Wales on a Monday morning, but you don't know, I could have gone down there, it worked out okay. And then I chose to go to Cornwall, but by that point, I was a bit desperate for a job really, because I've been sat around till midday, no job. That's the only reason I went bid for the Cornwall one. And obviously to the southeast, and then in the southeast near Heathrow, we can't be too fussy, so I went back to the similar area in Cardiff and then struggled to get out of South Wales again. So that was the week really, just a bit of a struggle. So yeah, full 5 days on the run, 4 nights in the van tramping. Monday £158, Tuesday 248, which is the one job to Cornwall. It's actually the best day of the week. Wednesday 170, Thursday 155, and Friday 140. So one job each day this week. Didn't ever get a second job. That's a total of 871 takings, obviously not earnings or profit, which is a £174.20 a day takings. I did loads of dead miles this week, obviously, because I ended up in St Ives and I drove empty pretty much to Oakhampton, which was like 70 miles. And then I didn't particularly get great rates on any job, all miles considering on each job. And then I ended up like 50 plus, I don't know, Crewe to thing, maybe 45, 50 miles back to home on a Friday afternoon, or Friday evening as it was. So yeah, my overall pence per mile, all miles, 81.3, which is shocking really. This time last year I was aiming for a minimum of 85, but really going for 90, and now really I need to be earning, because of the increase in fuel, 95 absolute minimum, which I've just been paying scrape in recent weeks. But really I need to be doing £1 a mile all miles, which when you're doing subcontracting work on the CX, which I keep saying subcontracting works at a backload rates, it's hard to do. That's why tramping normally helps out, or definitely helps out. It's the only way you can do it. if you're doing ad hoc or subcontractor backload work. Yeah, so no additional charges. So once I take into account, do all the numbers and see what's left. So my takings plus the flat rate VAT bonus I get to keep, which is treated as taxable income by the taxman, minus my costs, my fixed costs like insurance, blah blah blah, it's £20 a day, and then minus my variable costs for fuel, land depreciation, all that stuff. I'm left with £434 for the 5 days, which is £87 a day, and it's just, you know, nowhere near enough. Obviously, I'm just going to take it as a bit of one of them weeks, a bad week, didn't get a rub the green, made some bad decisions, and it, which is kind of, you know, hopefully I can put that right in the future, or, you know, get a bit more luck next time. But it has got, got quieter than when it was in June. Not as bad as it was January to May, but still big struggle, even in tramping mode, to make a reasonable living. So that's it really. In other news, I did have one milestone. Let's have a quick look at this. Yeah, so I've got just turned a bit of a milestone in terms of positive feedback, which is 300 positive feedback. I've done probably about just under 800 jobs maybe on the CX now, and I've got 300 have left positive feedback, so I'm quite happy with that. No negatives, no neutrals was absolutely crucial for me. Yeah, and in terms of the news, the van, so the last vlog I did, the van was damaged. Went to see 2 body shops the Monday after, last week before I started work on a Monday. Both of them, yeah, looked it up, you know, said, yeah, well, took my email address, we'll email you a quote and stuff. None of them have sent me quotes. Tried ringing both of them a few times, cannot get hold of them. So that's turned into a right faff. So yeah, more crap to sort out, basically, more stress. So the way it's going and things like that, I'm just, pretty low now on the thing. So I've got my preview test for HGVs this Friday. Made some phone calls this week about booking my, you know, practical stuff. And it basically varies between £2,500, £2,500 and £3,000 to do the driving and the tests and the practical CPC and everything else that's involved. Companies around me, there's one that's got availability 15th of September, but that's £3,000, upper end of the range. And the trucks they've got, which I don't really want to learn in, is articulated obviously, but with urban trailers, shorter trailers, and I don't really want to learn and pass my test using short trailers and then just go and get a job, and then I'm towing a full 45-foot length trailer, which is a full length, you know what I mean? So kind of put off that, even though they've got closer availability. The other options are more like end of October, beginning of November, but they said there's a good likelihood they could, you know, bring it forward with cancellations, especially because I'm probably the most flexible working pattern of anyone, because I can just, like, you know, the way I work, book jobs off for CX, so I just don't bother booking it. They just phone me up and say, yeah, you can come into next week if you want, and I'd say, yeah, fine. Don't book any working, so only booking, I don't normally even book a Monday morning job on the following Friday or whatever. Very rarely I'll book ahead work. So that's where I'm at. Crap week. I'm not going to work this week. Just having a week off. Keep having these crap weeks. Maybe I should be out working, trying to earn what I can, but I'm in a finance position where, you know, I wouldn't have got into this game if I didn't have savings to sort of, you know, see me through lean periods. I wouldn't ever, you know, take on debt to get finance on a van or something like that to work this way. Wouldn't ever recommend that to anyone. So yeah, I'm just going to take a week off because, like I say, got a test on Friday, theory test, got loads of stuff to do at home, and it's summer and I just want a week off, and then start again next for Monday. which will be the next vlog. So that's it. Cheers for watching. Any comments as ever, tips for me, put them below. Cheers.